You're watching CNN and this is Connect the World. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Welcome back. Well, it is a make or break or week for U.S. President Donald Trump and his controversial Supreme Court pick. The FBI is investigating allegations of sexual assault and misconduct against Brett Kavanaugh, and it has until Friday to get the job done. Mr. Trump had little choice but to order the probe after key Republican senators insisted. The president pushing back against reports that he's trying to control that process, saying that the FBI has free rein to investigate and wants them to interview whoever they deem appropriate. Well, it comes as the confirmation battle emerges as a rallying cry for the upcoming midterm elections. Mr. Trump is using the issue to fire up Republican voters. And at a Saturday night rally, he mocked Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein for saying she didn't leak the letter from Christine Blasey Ford that initially brought about the allegations.
Remember, Dianne Feinstein, did you leak? Remember her answer. Did you leak the document? What?
Well, the White House insists it is adopting a hands-off approach. Counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway, appeared on CNN a short time ago to detail what is and is not off limits.
As you know, it will be limited in scope. It's meant to last 1 week, I believe, beginning last Friday. And it's not meant to be a fishing expedition. The FBI is not tasked with doing that here. And as Joe Biden pointed out 27 years ago during the Clarence Thomas hearings, and as many people have pointed out over the last couple of weeks, Jake, the FBI does not draw conclusions. It provides information.
Right.
As we know, Judge Kavanaugh has gone through 6 thorough vets within the span of his public service career, including one that was completed this last July. That is on the desk of every single senator to review.
Well, James Gagliano is a CNN law enforcement analyst and a retired FBI agent. He joins us via Skype from New York. Good to have you with us. I want to get a sense of the process that needs to happen efficiently and effectively in the coming days, given that the FBI only has a week to get to the bottom of these accusations that date back about 30 years.
So I don't disagree with the White House here. Now, I know the White House has a political view of this, and I'm going to call the balls and strikes for you and try to give you what the FBI does here. So, yes, it's true that this is narrow scope. Now, does that mean that if the FBI uncovers something unseemly or untoward or are valid criminal allegations, they cannot pursue them? The answer to that is no. Of course they can pursue them. So the White House understands, even though they're using nuanced language, they understand that no one is going to tell an FBI agent, hey, you just detected something and you want to open a preliminary inquiry into something that appears to be a violation of federal law, but you can't do it. What they mean by narrow scope is this. Judge Kavanaugh has been subjected to 6 of these now. These are 6 background investigations. Background investigations are a little different than criminal investigations. You're looking at 9 different things in regards to a candidate for a judicial position. And that's everything from a federal magistrate all the way up to a Supreme Court justice. Those 9 things are this: character, who they associate with, reputation, loyalties, abilities, finances, potential biases, and alcohol and drug use. Now, 6 times this has been done on Judge Kavanaugh, but it's important to note here, the FBI typically only goes back to somebody's 18th birthday. We're looking at their conduct as an adult. So in this instance, the allegation is that the attempted sexual assault took place when Judge Kavanaugh was 17 and the victim accuser was 15. So this will open up a different door. FBI agents are going to go and ask different questions now, but still along the lines of those 9 different characteristics that I just mentioned.
Right. So this is an area that the FBI has not investigated before when it comes to Brett Kavanaugh. We know that obviously they need to assess his credibility and his accuser's credibility. We know that Christine Blasey Ford has taken a polygraph test. Will they take that into account, or will they potentially carry out their own lie-detecting tests of both Kavanaugh and Blasey Ford?
Okay, so let me, first of all, let me preface this by saying I am not a polygraph examination expert or analyst, so I have never administered them. I've had a lot of colleagues do that. But I've been subjected to 5 of them during my 25-year FBI career. Here's what we got to be careful with polygraph examinations. First of all, they're subjective. They're not admissible in court for a reason. If you're a sociopath or a psychopath, and I'm not suggesting anyone here is, but if you don't have a conscience, you can beat them. And here's why. The lie detector test is designed, and it's not a lie detector per se, but it is a machine or a device that basically records physiological changes in your body. So I ask you a question, you're uncomfortable with it, or you're giving me a deceptive answer, you have a conscience. So your body is going to react to that. Your palms are going to get sweaty. Your heart's going to palpate. You're going to begin sweating. Those are the kind of things that the machine picks up. It is not a perfect tool. Now, I'm not suggesting that it be dismissed in Professor Ford's case, and I'm not suggesting that Judge Kavanaugh shouldn't submit to one. I just never, in 25 years in law enforcement, I was never, ever confident that what could be gleaned from a lie detector test or polygraph examination was going to be anything that I could trust with certitude. So, yes, it's something that you add to the mix. You add all those things. It's a piece of the investigative puzzle, but I wouldn't put too much stock into it.
Right. I also want to get your opinion on whether or not exactly what Kavanaugh said during the testimony will be taken into account, because there was a lot of talk about whether he was being truthful, particularly when it came to entries in his high school yearbook. I just want to play some sound for our viewers about the way he explained one of the terms.
Devil's Triangle.
Drinking game.
How's it played?
3 glasses in a triangle.
And?
You ever played quarters?
No.
Okay, it's a quarters game.
So a lot of people did not buy that. And the Urban Dictionary points out that the Devil's Triangle refers to a threesome, 2 men and a woman. There were many times during the testimony that people have raised the alarm bells and said, this isn't quite right, he's not telling the truth. Will the veracity of those claims be part of an FBI probe? And if it turns out he was lying, even if it comes to the extent of how much he used to drink, could that lead to a criminal investigation of perjury?
Okay, so the answer here is a little nuanced, and I'm not a nuanced guy. I call it straight, but this one's going to be a little nuanced. The first answer to your question is yes. If someone lies under oath in front of Congress, in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, they face perjury charges, or the same thing as lying to an FBI agent, which is Title 18. It's a federal statute, and I think the section is 1001. The exposure for that is 5 years if you are proven to have lied. Now, here's the tough part of that. It's not that you just made a misstatement. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that someone was being purposefully deceptive. Now, listen, I listened to the hearings like everybody else did, and I kind of nodded and said, that doesn't sound right. And I understand it goes back to like the Bill Clinton days of, well, you're dealing in matters of small things. If you lie about small things, is that indicia that you're going to lie about large things? Well, that's how we deal with things in a court of law. Witness testimony can be disregarded. The judge can say, listen, you can take this with a grain of salt because you have to take into account everything else they've said and their truthfulness, veracity in small matters as well. I don't think the FBI is going to go back and research what the Devil's Triangle is or what type of quarters game was played or things like that. But I do believe that they're going to look very closely at his testimony. I do believe they're going to cross-reference that with Dr. Ford's testimony, as well as the calendar date books from 1982 that Judge Kavanaugh provided to the Senate Judiciary Committee. All those things are fair play. All those things will be part of a normal and appropriate investigation into this proceeding.
All right, James Gagliano, thank you so much for shedding some light on all of that for us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.